I work with electronics, and back in the day electronic components were quite large, like these resistors and capacitors. As time went on, components got smaller, and now I'm working with resistors and capacitors this size or smaller. I often need to take a closer look, so I have several options. A handheld magnifying glass is useful. It's not normally that powerful and only leaves one hand free. A bench magnifier lamp leaves both hands free and works really well for the large to medium sized parts, but struggles on the really tiny parts. When I want to see more detail, I use a jeweler's eyepiece, but it's not all that convenient as it works best stuck to my face, and the focus distance is quite tricky to get right. I tried a loupe, but I couldn't get on with it as I needed to change the lens too often. So, what about electronic options? Well, my smartphone does an excellent job for most small components, but I sometimes need more magnification. It isn't much use for soldering, as it doesn't provide enough room to work under. To show the image quality, I was trying here to see the date stamped on the rim of a pound coin. You can just make it out. Next, I bought a cheap digital microscope, and it was a lot of fun. But when soldering, I found it's difficult to judge the distance from my iron to the circuit board. Also, the image quality wasn't that good. Look at the date stamp on this pound coin. It's not very clear. So I looked for something a bit more at market. Now, my 9-year-old niece tried an Andonstar microscope, the one that comes with the 3 lenses. And that was fun. She especially loved the biology slides. But for my use, I found the long lens was great for soldering, and it provided about 10 inches of height to work under. So I looked further, and I decided on a AD407 Pro, as it's got a metal lens housing with a UV filter. Most other microscopes have plastic lenses and no protective filters, but I think a plastic housing works great for normal usage, but I'd be worried when it's exposed to lots of heat, and I'd also be concerned with fumes from the soldering flux fogging up the lens. The depth of focus was a lot better than the cheaper microscope, and it turned out to be perfect for soldering surface mount components. And the images are really good. Just look at the difference between the Andonstar and the low-cost microscope. The Andonstar also has a useful 3x zoom. If the screen's not big enough, I can show the images on an HDMI monitor at the same time as a 7-inch display. And there are plenty of YouTube videos on Andonstar microscopes being unboxed and descriptions of all the features, but I was more concerned that it would do the job for me, and it did. To end with, I thought I'd take a look inside an EEPROM chip. Here's where the good quality microscopes shine, moving the lens closer, and you can even make out the AMD logo and the year 1983. So, for standard size items, I'll continue to use the bench magnifier lamp. And for really close work, this microscope is going to be really useful. So check out the link below and remember to subscribe to see more of my videos.